Closed session, conference with labor negotiators and conference with real property negotiators. Nothing to report out of closed session. We'll regain our regular meeting of the Lakeport City Council today, Tuesday, July 5th, 2016. Just drew a total blank. I was just going to say,
maybe?
No. Madam Clerk, can
You are the mayor.
I know. Long weekend.
Okay, Councilmember Burnett,
Here.
Councilmember Shield,
Here.
Councilmember Turner,
Here.
Councilmember Mattina, here, and Mayor Stokely.
Here. Thank you. After that long pause. If anyone in the public would like to speak on anything that's not on our agenda tonight, you can fill out a sheet on the back table and turn that into the city clerk now. And you can have a few minutes up here to talk about whatever you'd like that's not on our agenda. Just keep in mind that we cannot come to any consensus or discuss that item if it's not on our agenda tonight. But you got us cornered, so fill it out and come up here and talk to us. I'm going to pick on Wilda again tonight to lead us in the pledge, if I could.
Begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Wilda. I won't pick on you anymore, I promise. Kelly, do we have any urgency items?
No, we don't.
Okay. With that in mind, I would look for a motion to accept the agenda as posted.
So moved, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, I have a motion,
Second.
and I have a second. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? We have an agenda. Next up, we have item number 4, the consent agenda. This evening, we have ordinances. Item A, waive reading except by title. We have item number B, which is approve the minutes of the regular council meeting of June 21st, 2016. We have item C, approve the warrant registers of both June 22nd, 2016 and June 23rd, 2016. We have item D, which is approve application 2016-018 with staff recommendations for the annual rodeo parade to be held July 9th, 2016. We have item E, which is approve a right-of-way entry agreement between the City of Lakeport and the County of Lake to allow the city to carry out all necessary work required by the downtown improvement project on county-owned property on Main Street. And lastly, we have item number F, adopt a proposed resolution approving the memorandum of understanding between the City of Lakeport and the Lakeport Police Officers Association for the period of July 1st, 2016 through June 30th, 2018, and authorize its execution. Are there any items that council would like to pull for discussion? Seeing none. Are there any items on the consent agenda the public would like to comment on this evening? Seeing none, I would entertain a motion to approve our consent agenda as posted.
I'll move to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? We have a consent agenda. Tonight, just a general rule of thumb for people that view our type of position up here, don't forget your iPad in your son's vehicle on a long weekend, because if you do, that's what you end up printing to bring to the meeting as he rolls back into Lake County. So that is why we went through the process of having iPads up here, so that we do not have to print several hundred pages of material for each of our meetings. Just a little comment. Next up, we have item number 5, which would be public presentations. And Kelly, do we have any public input tonight?
No.
Okay. And we do have item number B, which is introduction of new employees. And I think, do we want to just delay Joe's LTs?
They should be here. I got a text about 5 minutes ago that they're coming in.
Oh, okay.
We can start with Kelly introducing.
Okay, why don't we do that? We'll start with the other members there, and then we'll work our way in.
Good evening. I'd like to introduce Savannah Rasmussen to you. In case you don't recognize her, she is the lovely daughter of Chief Rasmussen. She will be interning in administrative services in the city clerk world, so doing human resource functions and all kinds of records projects. Savannah is a student at Cal State Hayward and East Bay. Sorry, I'm not trainable. She is majoring in sociology. At the moment. So we are very excited to have her. She had a wonderful high school career, which we all heard all about, and so we know she'll be an excellent addition to our department this summer. So, welcome.
Now, Savannah, should we make you do a little speech? Can we do that?
I'm really excited.
We'll let you go. Run away, run fast.
Thank you, Mayor, members of the council. I have 2 new employees for this Lakeport Police Department I'd like to introduce. If they could come up, Joe Medici and Natalie Seiler. And since Joe's out there working the street right now, which is why he had to get here as soon as he could, I'll go ahead and introduce him first. Some of you may have already met Joe. He comes to us from Southern California, Mission Viejo. It's actually close to where I came from, so we have a lot in common. We kind of knew some streets and areas from our locations that we spent some time in. Joe started with us officially on the 13th. He's currently in the field training program. He's doing really well, and we're extremely happy to have him. So he's been a great addition to the department, and in addition to that, he's living up in the ribs in my house, actually, so I'm even more excited. So I'd like to welcome him. It's great to have him and have the extra buddy, too. He's a wonderful guy, so if you guys get some time to meet him, it'd be great.
Welcome, Jeff.
Thank you.
Next is Natalie Seiler. Natalie is currently our police intern. Natalie graduated from Clear Lake High School, and she is currently at Chico State majoring in criminal justice, which works out really well since she's working with the police department. She's been very interested in the job. She's been helping out with our evidence tech. She's doing a lot of property and evidence and helping get that under control. In addition to that, she's been riding around a lot on ride-alongs and really getting a lot of experience. She seems like she's having a really good time. Would I be right in saying that? Yeah. We can't get her to go home, so what's happening. So she loves to ride around. She's getting all the experience and seeing what it is that we do every day. So if anything, I think it's helping her in her idea of what's criminal justice.
Great.
Welcome.
See, I can still direct him. Thanks.
Thanks.
Thank you.
And Natalie, you were at the NNO meeting, right? And I know that the pro tem and I got to meet you there, and then I think, Stacy, you were also at the swearing in when we had Joe show up, and we got to meet Joe when he showed up into town and started his first day, and you got to meet his family. And is your grandfather still looking at moving up?
I'm recruiting him slowly.
Okay, that would be nice. He seemed like a nice gentleman. It's nice to meet him. Yeah.
Did you guys enjoy your first 4th of July down here at Library Park? Pretty interesting, huh?
It was a great time.
I'll be filling you in on some of that a little later.
Yeah, even a lighter crowd.
Okay, well, I have someone I want to introduce that wasn't on the agenda. Jenny Michelle comes to us from Fort Bragg. She is our interim finance director. She started today with working with Dan. Dan will be leaving us next Tuesday, his last day. Jenny comes from Fort Bragg. She retired from the city of Fort Bragg as the finance director and has come out of retirement to help us here in Lakeport. So she will help with the transition. She'll be learning from Dan. And then when we get our new employees, she'll be helping transition that new person into the position also. So I'd like to welcome Jenny.
Thank you. Can I clarify? I was in the finance department for 2.5 years, but I retired as the assistant city manager.
Oh,
That's right. I never held the position of finance director, so.
Oh, okay.
Well, now you do.
Thank you, Jenny. It's tough to, I mean, we've had a couple of changes this last year, and it's tough to fill certain boots. So we appreciate you helping with the transition.
You're not a USC fan, are you?
No, but I'm a Los Angeles Dodgers fan.
Oh, man. We're striking out there.
It was going to come out at some point in time.
Get it over with, yeah.
She broke that to us at lunch today, that was, yeah.
Is it the actual team or is it the Dodger Dogs? I mean,
No, it's the actual team. We have a great team, even though we're 5 games behind you guys.
good enough. Thank you, Jim. And thank you, Margaret. Next up, we have under public presentations and requests, we have item number C, which is Carolyn Rutan. Is it Rutan?
Yes.
Okay. We'll give a presentation on the latest quagga and zebra mussel prevention grants awarded for the Lake County Watershed Protection District.
Where would you like me to stand?
Wherever you like, but the microphone is probably best, yeah. And then the remote should work for you. from there.
Whoops.
That way we can record everything you say.
This is good,
I know.
because then you can play it over and over to remind yourself how important the subject matter is that I'm about to tell you about.
Wonderful.
And the stations looked great over the weekend too, at the launch ramps. Yep, the tents looked awesome, and even we were out west with De Leon on the boat, and I commented, I said, hey, and people were really interacting with them, so it was good.
Yeah. Well, that's what we were hoping for. But this whole thing started a little bit differently for me. Dan?
Oh, no.
Oh, no. Dear, oh, dear.
Come on, Dan.
This is Microsoft's problem, not me.
Sure, oh, blame it on Microsoft here.
Excuses.
He's got one foot out the door already. Blame it on Microsoft now.
Okay, so way back in 2008, this county actually took upon itself to have a mussel prevention program because dry-scented mussels, quagga and zebra mussels, had just infested Lake Mead. And holy moly, that sent up smoke signals everywhere. So we came up with a program where people are given stickers. And these are the stickers. There's a visitor sticker and a resident sticker. So basically the program says, if you have a vessel in Lake County, no matter who you are, you need a set of stickers on it in order to launch in any water body in this county. And it's been very, very successful. Slowly. It's gathered momentum as enforcement agencies have begun to get involved and give people citations. Then that got people's attention. So then the state, back in 2014-15, thought it would be really cool if we as a state could get a little bit more funding for any prevention or stopping movement of mussels in this state. So they came up with a sticker program which looked awfully like ours. Hence, I got really PO'd, and everybody else did too, because that's the state sticker. And notice that on the state sticker, you get this little white thing that you do with it that says, the sticker is evidence of payment. Yes, well, we know that. You have to pay money to get the darn sticker. But then it says on, allows this vessel to be operated in all waters of the state. And then of course at the end, unless prohibited. Okay, but what you see is, oh, good-o, I've got a sticker. I can use my boat anywhere. Ridiculous. So, this led to our intense confusion. This is the the green sticker I just showed you from the state is a 2015 sticker. This is the 2016, 17, I don't like fiscal year, sticker from the state. Look how similar it looks to our stickers. Very, very similar. So what are boat owners doing? They're paying $16 to the state getting a sticker, and they're darn well putting the state sticker on top of the Lake County sticker because they paid their money, and it's the same thing, isn't it? No. So, the confusion got just worse and worse and worse and worse. So, our Lake County sticker is supposed to show people, anybody, that that vessel has been checked. It's been screened for risk of transporting mussels here. If the risk is low, it gets stickers. That's our program in a nutshell. The state, that sticker proves to me that you paid $16 to the state of California. What else does it tell me? Absolutely nothing. It doesn't tell me anything about that boat, where it's been. It doesn't tell me whether the boat has even been educated about zebra and quagga mussels. Does that boater that got that sticker even know what quagga and zebra mussels are? And whether we even have them in this state? No. So, I was really peeled. Until we realized where that money was going. The money was going into the DMV, of course. That's the body that receives your money when you register your boat. But then it was going from the DMV to California Boating and Waterways. And under the control of the California Department of Fish and Wildlife, Boating and Waterways was able to give out grant money. So all that money, that big pot of money, is now coming back to Lake County if I choose to put in for these grants, which I did over and over and over and over again. And I will continue doing it. So, the first one I got in 2015, November, $189,000 for 8 boat ramp monitors, which you will have seen by now at the boat ramps, and 2 boat ramp monitor supervisors, and Lake County kicked in $40,000. So the boat ramp monitors are for seasonal staff only, but we get a lot of work out of them. And we get work out of them at the times when we need work out of them, because we tell these people, you are going to be working on vacation days, on holidays, even if you're sick. I don't give a darn. Even if it's 9 o'clock at night, that's where I want you, on the boat ramps. Okay, so now they pretty much check every boat, anywhere, even if it's in a parking lot, even if it's in a gas station. I don't care where the boat is. If it doesn't have stickers on it, they go up to the owner or the renter or whoever it is and have a conversation with that person. I don't care if they don't achieve what they're after, which is getting a sticker on that boat. I need the education done. And then there's always, well, if the boat owner just shrugs you off, says the F word or whatever they're going to do, then you can call the sheriff. And he will come and do what's necessary. So they are only told, they're not told to screen a boat. They're only told to educate. And if the boat or the trailer doesn't have a sticker, to at least start a conversation with the person as to, do you realize you're going to be fined $1,000 if you don't get a sticker, that type of thing. So then the next one I got was for a feasibility study. And this study is because so many people think we have holes in our program, which we do. I understand it's all the honor system, and not everybody's honorable, although I think they are. And so the feasibility study is going to be for on 8 of our most popular boat ramp access sites. We're going to put gates and some electronic mechanism, I don't know, it's a credit card or whatever it is, is going to allow the gate to open, and then they gain entry. So that's a more sure way of making sure that at our public boat accesses, at least nobody's going to get past when we're not there.
Is Lakeport one of the boat ramps that will have that?
Absolutely, yes. Next slide. There we go. Those 8.
Oh.
Okay, so 3 of them are in the city of Lakeport. And of course, they're the 3 biggest. They're 3rd Street, 5th Street, and the Clear Lake Avenue, next to Skylark. These are the 8 busiest boat ramp sites all around the lake. So we're not honing in on the city of Lakeport necessarily. We've got Red Bud Park in the city of Clear Lake and the other major access points. Okay, next one, I got $45,000 for 2 more decontamination units, 15,000 plus the quagga brochures for boat ramp banners, a pop-up style canopy, and Sacramento River watershed advertising, which is these banners at our boat ramps. They're torn, they're in disrepair. I want new ones. So I got them. And the one deal I've got on the site, the current decontamination unit, of which we only have 1 in this county right now, is parked in the central garage, which is off of Campbell Lane, owned by the county, I think. But anyway, it's in the city right. So I wanted 2 others to be at equidistances around this lake, because currently, if I want a boater at Red Bud Park to be decontaminated, I get him to follow me all the way to Lakeport to get his decontamination. And I give it to him free, for goodness sakes, I have to. With an awful lot of, please do this, wouldn't it? It'll be really, really quick and all that kind of stuff. But it's ridiculous. So I need a unit at Red Bud Park, and I need a unit at Lucerne. And there's my equidistance around the lake for decon units. Then new banners, of course, brochures, these crushing the quagga brochure. We're not going to change the title, it's a good title. But these are old, ancient, they're going to be updated. Okay, here's our new pop-up display, which you may have seen in the city of Lakeport. And we're going to get another one of those because people really like these. People say, oh my gosh, that's a subject maybe that I need to know more about. And so that's been really, really good. And then the Sacramento River watershed advertising, we've got 59 of these beautiful boards around the Sacramento River watershed, which goes all the way up to the Oregon border, advertising, don't move a mussel. So that's what we got for that. Okay, so the next one, 140,000 for 4 trailer highway signs, 6 Caltrans highway easement signs, a DVD player. There's a whole mess of really, really, really good DVDs online for mussel prevention. So I thought, let's try showing them with a screen inside one of those canopies at various events that we go to all over the place. Am I taking way too much time? Oh, good.
You're just fine.
Has that got a long way to go? No, that's not. Okay, so now, and also I asked for 5 more boat ramp monitors because 10 weren't enough. And probably 15 are not going to be enough. I'll just keep going until I got enough. So just to let you see, that's one of the trailer and highway signs that we have on. We've got 4 of these at the major entryways to the county. They're old, ancient, they need to be repaired. Caltrans easement signs, that is going to be hopefully a sign I can get Caltrans permission to put up actually on their easement. It's going to be a Caltrans sign, but it's going to look like that. 6 of those. Then the next one, the final one, is the earworm group, the Integrated Regional Water Plan group, has given us fortunately, $24,500 to get the Quagga Mussel boat back from Lake Mead. Yes! I can't wait. This is going to, if any of you are kind of thinking about, are we really spending this money wisely? Well, yes, we are. Because that is our Quagga boat being taken out of Lake Mead, and that's what the underside of that boat looks like. It's covered in mussels. There is not one spot that hasn't been, is not growing a mussel. And so now we've got that shellacked. It's still in Nevada, and we're gonna, hopefully in 10 days we'll have permission to bring it back into California. So then we're going to scare the heck out of people. Okay, so now I kind of want to segue back to, again, why do we care? Why do we want to spend any of this money? They are truly awful creatures. They really are nasty. You do not want them in Clear Lake or in any surface water in this county, let alone any northern county. We have them currently in Southern California. Okay, so they remove every scrap of food from the bottom of the food chain. They're planktonic filter feeders. They eat everything. They effectively sterilize the water around them, leaving nothing for anybody. Okay, so then they will attach to anything, mud, plants, other animals, even a fish. They'll attach to other mussels, anything, including the structures that we want to put in the lake and tend, and they cover the structures. Okay, so they cover boats, they cover everything, and they cover the inside of pipes. They love living in darker places, so they love pipes, and they will actually block water pipes. So remember, we have 16 municipal water companies that take water out of this lake, including the city of Lakeport. That produces drinking water for 55% of our population in this county. That's huge. That is important to keep those pipes free flowing with water. So these guys would do just the opposite. Plug them all. Okay, so now once established, this is an interesting one. You can't get rid of them once you've got them. So, and occasionally they get into a lake that can be drained completely. No problem. Drain it. Dry them out. They're dead. They're gone. Right? We don't have that luxury. You cannot, if you wanted to, drain Clear Lake. Okay, so now another alternative, and people have used this, is to put toxic chemicals in the water that kill everything. And that wouldn't be a solution for us either. So, Quagga and zebra mussels, as I told you before, they are often referred to as dry-scented mussels. So they're the same. Dry-scented is just the Latin name. That is a beach on Michigan. I do not want any of our Clear Lake beaches to look like that ever. Those shells are glass sharp. They will cut your feet. Nobody on Lake Michigan can walk on the beach with bare feet anymore. Okay, we're talking about two different forms of this animal. The adult, which is the shelled form, and then the belagia, which is a free-floating thing that kind of swims a little bit, but not really much. This is what they look like under a polarized light microscope. You cannot see the darn things with a regular microscope, which makes everybody's life that bit difficult because you can't just shove a cup of water under your microscope and see whether you got it. You got to send it to a lab that has polarized and knows what to look for. So anyway, they are extremely successful. Obviously, that's why they're in so many lakes and reservoirs in this nation. And they're successful because of pretty much their reproductive rate. It's incredible. A pair of them in like 6 to 8 reproductive cycles produces over 10 million offspring during a year's period in the state of California. Not as they only have like 2 cycles in where they come from, the Ukraine, but they've gone, whew. They love the temperature here. They love something here. They love the fact that there's nothing to kill them here. So sexually mature, only 1 year old it takes, and the lifespan 3 to 5 years. It just goes on, and they've got no predators, nothing to kill them. So that's what they look like in close-up, but they are tiny things. And remember, they only live in fresh water. So when a boat comes from salt water, when a boat comes from the bay, I love it. So they move primarily through human beings being the mover, because human beings move a whole heck of a lot with them that they haven't a clue they're moving. And with water in a boat, the water could contain the larvae. I don't know. I can't even see them with my microscope, remember? I could have larvae in the water in my boat and move it from Lake Mead to Clear Lake. That could happen. Okay? So in addition to that, they go with the flow. The larvae will move with water movement. Okay, so that's how the whole Colorado River system became completely infested. They went with the flow. So humans move them with whatever they're living on. Humans move them in their boats and other equipment because of the water that they move. So how long do we have to keep them out of water before they die? Well, 5 days in hot weather, 30 days in cooler, more moist conditions. And how long can the larvae stay out of water? Not at all. They are deader than a doornail if they are dry. So that's why the message clean, drain, and dry is so important. And it needs to be a habit of every boat owner. Okay, so now, how did they get here? In the ballast tank from a container ship from the Ukraine. Into Lake Erie in 1988, then into Lake Mead 2007. That's a very, very short space of time. 1988 to 2007. They went all the way across country because we moved. Okay, so now the entire Colorado River system is infested. That starts in Colorado, then comes into Arizona, then Nevada, and California. The whole thing is infested. And that is some really big, beautiful lakes and reservoirs. Okay, so now how are they going to get here? On trailered vessels from infested counties. So remember, the harm they're going to do to the environment is because of their feeding activity and their smothering activity, their covering activity, and the speed at which they do it. So they don't leave any food anywhere for anybody else. So that means the fisheries are going to collapse, and they are collapsing in infested lakes in this country. There is a gigantic, what they call dead zone in Lake Erie that has been produced in part by these guys. Just look at the amount of water they filter every day. One single mussel, which is minuscule, tiny, 1 liter of water a day that is in effect sterilized. So it doesn't take very much to remove everything. Okay, so that's a crawdad covered in them. That's a bait bucket that was put in Lake Mead. 3 months later, it came out covered. So what we do in Lake County is we have 3 tiers of an inspection program. The first one is screening. That's just a risk assessment. Inspection if needed, and that's me or somebody going all over the boat, in, under, around, wherever. And then if the third one is necessary, that's decontamination or quarantine. If it's an adult mussel I find, I quarantine the boat and then get CDFW, Fish and Wildlife, here in an instant, hopefully. And then they quarantine the boat. If it's a larva, then it is decontaminated. So this is how many boats we deal with in a year. And this number is going to go up alarmingly this year. I have never seen so many boats on this lake as I did on, I think it was it yesterday or Sunday? I can't remember which, but it was like popcorn. It was amazing. So then the screening, all that does, and don't get this confused with inspection, meaning I'm going to inspect inside and under and around and in and everywhere. Screening is a risk assessment. All we're doing is we're making sure the vessel is clean, drained, and dry, wanting to know how long ago it was last in water and where was it last in water. Okay, so the residents get annual stickers. I wish I could change that. I wish I could make the residents the same as visitors, but I was outvoted. Visitors get screened every calendar month. And here are the infested counties. There's too many of them, all in Southern California, with the particular lakes that are infested. There's way too many of them. There's 39. Okay, and that's how it looks on the USGS map. The green are the quaggas and the red are the zebras. And we don't want either one of them. They're very similar. Okay, so we're not alone in this, which is a very good thing. The California Department of Food and Agriculture, they border inspection stations. This is how many watercraft they found over the last years, contaminated with mussels, and this is where they're in the majority coming from. So again, the big heavy hitters on the Colorado River system. Okay, so what are the other lakes doing about this? Are we the only ones? Well, it feels that way a lot of the time, unfortunately, because we have many lakes in this state that are not doing anything, nothing. Some of those lakes are owned by U.S. Army Corps of Engineers and other big agencies. And I think it's not that they don't care, it's that they don't understand why they should spend money preventing something. It is a difficult concept for people to get. But there are lakes that do banding systems where when you come out of a water body, your trailer gets banded to your boat permanently, well not permanently, but temporarily, so that you can't fiddle with it until they come back to that same lake. The people letting them in see the band, cut the band off, and allow that boat to go back without any more said, because they came out of the lake and it's still got band on. Okay, so then there are some lakes that do inspections sometimes, but not all the time. Maybe from 11 to 1 o'clock each Saturday, and that's it. What good is that? Well, anyway, it's not good enough for me. And some lakes do absolutely nothing. Some lakes do something, and that is they don't allow a boat to launch unless it's been out of the lake or out of water, actually quarantined for 8 days. Why a boat owner would even allow that is beyond me, but that's what they do. And people like visiting that lake, so that's what they put up with. So I mean, that is wonderful to me. When I hear about a boat coming from that lake, yay, right on, go for it. So then other lakes do absolutely no monitoring or they do minimal monitoring. They just look occasionally when they're by the lake shore to see if there's any mussel that they can see. So anyway, it's like all over the shop, right? So we can't rely on any of that. These are some of the inspection seals and the board station certificates, and the tagged out one is in the middle from Lake Tahoe. That's the band, so they call it, that they put around the boat and the trailer. Okay, so again, there's so much inconsistency here, and the fact that the California Department of Boating and Waterways, under the guise of the California Department of Fish and Wildlife, came up with a grant program that allows every water body in this state to be an individual water body and to do their own thing, whatever they feel is right for them, and be funded by Boating and Waterways. Is a bit crazy to me. I wish they had just figured out a program, and we all did, everyone. So I don't know from other lakes if they tell me, oh yeah, but we monitor. Well, how do I know what protocol they use? How do I know how often they do it? Do I know what training the people get to go out and sample, or any of this? Do I know whether they even sample water samples, or are they only looking for adult mussels? I don't know any of that. So unless I go to that lake, and I am not going to even ask for money to go to other lakes so I can figure out what everybody else is doing, I cannot assume that, what they're telling me is okay. So, and remember how important this lake is in the scheme of things to recreational activity. Certainly in Northern California. There's a whole heck of a lot of people that come here, visit here, from where we don't know until we ask. So I thank you very much for letting me do this presentation. It's been a couple of years since I was here. And I hope that you are as hopeful as I am that now we're getting a little bit of funding from the state, we can improve our program. But what I please ask of you is, if you have any suggestions as to how I can improve our program, please share them with me, because I don't know what is best for every place. And maybe we're not doing something at one place that we need to be doing. So please, feel free to interact. Thank you very much.
Do you have any questions, Doug?
I don't have any questions. We're on the right path. I mean, money has been, now you've been working incredibly hard. I've met with Scott multiple times on this, and I mean, the fact that the money's even coming in some form is good. So at least we can do something. And, the gates, it'll be interesting to see how that study comes out, because we just don't know. I mean, it's very easy to say let's gate every launch ramp, but that's, one, it's probably not cost feasible, and two, we don't know if people even come to our lake if we do that. So,
exactly. Nor do we know if it would even be allowed by our residents.
Yeah. But it has to happen though, because
we have to ask the question.
The quagga mussels are horrid. I know that one of the water treatment facilities for Las Vegas, they have the two outlet pipes that come out of the lake, and one is always being cleaned while the other one's in service, because the quaggas grow so fast inside the pipe that one always has to be cleaned while the other one's on, and then they just switch it. And that
How could we afford that?
We could never afford that here in Lake County. Absolutely not.
With 16 companies,
The thing that you talked about bringing the quagga boat, I know that when we had the visitor center, and in some locations they have those little pieces of pipe.
Yes. They're still out there.
Yeah, I think those tell a story, that whole little feature there. And having been to Lake Mead and having been through the turbines and having listened to the speech about how they have to bring them online, clean one, do all this, it's just voluminous amounts of money. And one mistake can lead to all of that for all 16 of these. I just think that a grant for those need to be in the retail locations where people are just coincidentally going in, and with the brochures, because I mean, yeah, they're gonna go down to the lake, but I think it's something that everybody needs to know.
Yeah,
That
yeah.
everybody needs to know to, each one teach 2 or 3 or 4 other people so they all get it, because it only takes one, group of idiots that think they can be cavalier and run amok, and next thing you know, we've got a problem that will never end. And I think that one, to me, when I see that, I mean, these pictures are great, but if you're not looking at the video, but these can be moved around, they can be in locations, that, some kind of a portable one that's everywhere, whether it's plastered on the wall with the little, the brochures there, but that thing got my attention. And when you know how fast it grows with some kind of a line that
Yes.
says this happens in like a month or whatever it is, that I think that's an important one, and that would be the next grant I'd be looking for, because everybody could see that in all the locations, get lots and lots and lots of those, because that got my attention. I
Yeah,
think it'd get a lot out of it.
that's a great idea, and I can ask for more of those, for sure. Yeah, thank you.
Any other comment or question?
Carolyn, what's the viewing schedule for the boat when it returns to Lake County?
It's anything and everything. Anywhere I can take it. Anybody who wants to see it. Anybody who wants to exhibit it. Anybody, county fair, state fair, I'll take it anywhere. It is going to be used by the whole integrated regional water management plan area, which is Yolo County, Napa County, Solano County, Lake County, of course. I can't remember the other one. I can't remember the 5th county. That it will be going around the regions. That anyone who wants it at a location at a certain time, I need to know about. Yeah, because it's a scare factor for boat owners. Unfortunately, we have to scare them into doing the right thing. And this sure as heck is scary.
Carolyn, I'd just like to say you are a wonderful combination of enthusiasm, passion, and information. I was pretty certain I knew everything that I needed to know about all the information on quagga mussels, and there were things that I saw tonight that I did not know. And I never assume I know everything, but I just appreciate the information. I appreciate your enthusiasm.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
You've made my day.
There we go. And you did not take too much time. You were just perfect. Okay. Now I'm thoroughly terrified of the quagga. I'm going to have a dream tonight. I'm going to come out of the water and I'm going to be covered. Yikers. Okay. All right. We're going to move on to item number 6. We're going to move into council business. And again, because Dan is leaving, we're going to monopolize him in this area. We'll start off with the bond refunding, sitting as the successor agency to the Lakeport Redevelopment Agency, looking at multiple items on bonding, and now we're defunct on the
Defunct
defunct redevelopment agency.
California.
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. Before you is an opportunity, staff's recommendation to restructure some of the former redevelopment agency bonds to capitalize on some cost savings for having issues with lower interest rates. Currently, the former agency has 3 outstanding bond issues. We're looking at restructuring the 2 that will allow restructuring. 1 does not have a call provision, does not allow us to refund it, to refinance it essentially, but the other 2 do. And we anticipate significant cost savings in the form of lower interest over the remaining term of those deals. And it's basically a simple refi. We call it refunding just because that's the technical term for it. We call it restructuring like this, but it's a refi. And we anticipate that savings to be around the order of $1.5 million over the remaining term of the 2 bonds, which we would estimate to be about 19 years. We're pursuing 2 different strategies in doing the restructuring. One would be a private placement with a bank or a single lending institution. The other, if we're unsuccessful, finding favorable terms that way, would be to go to the open market and possibly to something else, something that's more in line with a typical bond issue. I have our municipal financial advisor here, Eric Scriven with NHA Advisors. If you have any technical questions about this proposal, otherwise I'd be happy to answer any questions that I might be able to. And go from there.
Okay. Thank you, Dan. Thank you, Eric, for being here. Council, any questions of Dan or Eric? Agenda? Are you playing with Kenny's?
Try not to. We're good.
Okay. If there's no questions at this time, we'll go ahead and maybe open it up to the public, see if there's any public comment or questions on this action. Seeing none. We don't want to, we got to ask Eric something. He's sitting there, he's got a nice tie,
Good, all the
he's smiling, he's pleasant. Any other questions or discussion on this?
Is there a limit to the number of times we can refund these loans during the loan period?
No, but there are still additional steps that will need to be taken for this restructuring. This body is sitting as the successor agency board to the former redevelopment agency. So with approval here, that will allow us to take it to the oversight board of the successor agency for approval. Once that's achieved, then it goes to DOF, Department of Finance at the state level, who there's a waiting period or some kind of vetting period review where they look at the numbers and say this makes sense for the taxing entities that will be affected by the issue. And then once that's done, then we can actually move forward, close the deal. So the long answer for that is no, I don't believe there's any, because we're refinancing with a different lender. And if we were to do it again, capitalize on even lower rates, we would probably go with another vendor or another financer. I will say that this benefits not only the city, but all of the taxing entities in the former redevelopment project area. One of those is the school district, which would reap about 47% of the benefit. Unfortunately, the way the state finances are worked regarding public education, that simply is an actual benefit to the state, since it would simply offset the amount the state sends to the school, because the school is realizing savings. So in effect, we're helping Sacramento with this deal as well as helping our local economy. But nonetheless, we're keeping the majority of the funds local here as opposed to sending it to Wall Street or whatever investors have purchased these bonds.
Yeah, they're still putting money back in the coffers of the state that they can use it back for the school system.
And that's the county also, and all the other, the fire district, all the
Right.
other college, anybody that's part of that community
Yeah.
would benefit from this.
So as I come in on finishing up 4 years around here, I've seen these numbers, like 5% and drop it down to 3%, maybe we can get it 3.9. The thing that always just blows me away is when I hear this PERS thing at like 25%.
PERS at 25%.
The rate that we're paying on the side fund or whatever it was, and it just, it seems to me that it should be some kind of criminal act to do that kind of thing. I mean, moving it from 5 to 3, all this stuff seems reasonable when we have rates that are like so ridiculously high. It just doesn't seem like that's legal. Anyway, that's a side note. And these kind of things going from 5 to 3 on a large amount of money, it's a substantial savings. But when you have $11 million at 25% or whatever, with money from PERS, I don't know how that ever happened. That's another story. Looks like a good deal there.
Sidebar. Any other questions? Either Eric or Dan? Okay, Dan. I would either entertain some discussion or maybe a suggested motion.
Well, Mr. Chair, if there's no further discussion, I'll move to approve the issuance of refunding bonds in order to refund certain outstanding bonds of the dissolved Lakeport Redevelopment Agency, approve the execution and delivery of a form of indenture of trust relating thereto, and request oversight board approval of the issuance of the refunding bonds, request certain determinations by the oversight board, and provide for other matters properly relating to thereto.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? We are 5-0.
Lawyer speak on that one.
I see David writing that down, 5-0. All right. Thank you. And Eric, thank you. Next up, we have a professional services agreement. Item number 2, which is approve and authorize city manager to execute professional services agreement with JJACPA for independent auditing services. And again, it's the Dan show.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, once again, members of the council. Before you is a recommendation to extend the contract services with JJACPA, our independent external auditor. We've had a fine working relationship with this firm for the last 5 years. We're asking council to extend that relationship 1 year with a new agreement for them to complete their audit of the city's 2015-16 fiscal year. They'll do so in two parts, interim field work that they've actually started, and then they'll come back in November to finish. And then if all goes well, we'll issue an audit report that will accompany our CAFR and speak to whether the numbers are true or at least reasonable, and comment on any other matters of importance. We're recommending this additional year, but it may be the case that the staff recommends maintaining this auditor for additional years. But for this, at this point in time, we'd like to just have 1 additional year, let them get through this audit, and then leave that to the next finance director and the city manager to determine that's the course action forward. But they've done a fine job for us in the last 5 years. We'd like to maintain that relationship with this.
I just want to make a comment too. We may be coming back with an addendum for other funding because they're going to be taking on possibly some extra steps for us since Dan's gone and while we're in the interim. And, I know Jimmy's capable of doing a lot of that, but right now we might be coming back. So I'll let you know they stepped up and said they would do extra reporting for us and stuff. So it'd be good this next year because they're so familiar with our city right now and with the transition. I would recommend that would be a good time to keep them for at least 1 year.
It's always kind of a quandary when it's an auditor, you're like, they do such a good job. You're like, is that a good thing or a bad thing?
Well, they brought a lot of things to our attention
Yeah.
that in the previous years, other auditors have never caught, just some processes they wanted us to do better.
I know they do a good
So
job.
they're really good.
But they never smile. When you see them in the room, well, now the windows are blacked out when they're always in there, but when you ever catch a glimpse of them, they're serious, they're just never
Yeah, they
smile.
are very
I even tried to joke one time with them, and it was out there.
I would ask council, the copy of the project is in front of you. Section 8 pertaining to the written materials provided during the engagement. This wasn't something that was brought to our attention until after we had the staff report ready and sent to the council, but we wanted to revise that to note that the auditor's work papers are not the city's property. If they were, that implies that the city has some control over the auditor, and that's not the case for the auditor to be independent to engage in a station engagement. They have to be independent. So the city attorney has provided language that would suffice, and I think totally applicable to that. It's just tweaking the section, but I wanted to make council aware of that provision.
So under, I think it's like page 154, in this contract, underneath management responsibilities, it says, whenever possible, we will attempt to use the city's personnel to assist in preparation of schedules and analysis of accounts. This effort can substantially reduce our time requirements and facilitate the timely conclusion of the audit, meaning they're going to use city staff, but they didn't mention that if they did it timely, meaning they're going to get it done on time, and whatever that time is, that's what the time is, and whatever it is, it's going to be $27,000. There's not going to be any like, oh, we got it done sooner because we used city staff time.
No, and the cost of the engagement really pertains to, the time they spent, but also the complexity of the work they have to do. It certainly facilitates the process when what they're referring to is using staff to find records and to produce the supporting documentation that they're trying to test and to establish whether the numbers that we're producing can be relied upon and are fair and reasonable, that sort of thing. So we're not doing any work for them in the sense that they want us to calculate something and then they're going to check it. They want to see the work that we've already done. They want us to produce whatever records they ask for, and that sort of thing. So we're not doing the heavy lifting. It's really just a facilitated process moving forward. If they had to go and actually search out things without our assistance, it would take longer. they,
So what they're basically doing, they're predicating the cost that they've given us as the bid is the price based on the fact that we're going to substantially reduce their workload by doing a lot of this more than like we have in the past.
well, yeah, based on this work, so they know that we've been complying with all the requests and that we, during their interim field work, they're here for 2 weeks out of the year, that we're here to support them with any aspects. And it's built into that, but it's also based largely on what they've done in the past as well. And their bid this time around was similar to what we did in the past, obviously. Certainly goes a long way that they're able to rely on us to produce an efficient instead of trying to spend more time than we produce.
Questions? David, with the language that Dan talked about, are we good with the current motion? If that is the pleasure of the council?
I would recommend that it be amended just to note that there will be additional changes to section 8. With additional changes to section 8 as approved by the city attorney.
Are there any members of the public that would like to comment on this professional services agreement? Seeing none. Dan, thank you. And we will bring this back to council for more discussion, or we would be looking for a motion that also includes the changed language by the city attorney in section 8 approved plans.
Mr. Mayor, I will make a motion to approve and authorize the city manager to execute the professional services agreement with JJA CPA for independent auditing services with amendments to section 8.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, looks like we're good to go. Dan, you're still here. We've got item number 3, which is another professional services agreement. Approve and authorize city manager to execute a second amendment to the professional services agreement with NHA, Advisors for Independent Registered Municipal Financial Services, Advisory Services. Sorry. And Dan, right back at you.
All right, thank you again, Mr. Mayor, members of council. Before you is a recommendation to amend our current agreement with NHA Advisors, Professional Municipal Advisory Services. When we reviewed our current agreement in light of NHA's requirements under the SEC, I believe, as far as what their agreement with us has to speak to and has to say, for them to be, to carry the banner of a registered municipal advisory firm, we felt that it was prudent to amend our current agreement to include in specificity the work that they're doing for us with these 3 projects identified in the staff report, just so everything is very clear as to what services they're providing us. And they can take that and have that defined in that question applied by the SEC or some agency from that route. And we developed a simple amendment to do that in 3 phases or 3 parts that cover each project specifically. And the amounts that are spoken about in the staff report are mostly contingent on deals going through successfully and are paid for out of proceeds from those deals, with the exception of the solar project, which is not entirely contingent on a successful project. NHA has been assisting us on the financial arm of putting together the solar project. If we decide not to move forward or unsuccessful in financing, the city is committing to paying them up to $10,000 for that service with additional $1,000 for the incidental costs. For the rest of that project and for the other 2 projects mentioned, NHA will only be compensated in the event that the deal closes successfully. They will be compensated for the proceeds of those deals. The deal that you just approved as the successor agency is one of those deals. And again, those cost savings that we spoke about identified are net of the cost additions. NHA is part of those cost additions. They do a lot of the heavy lifting for us on the analysis as well as putting together the deals. In that case, it's a more complicated deal because parties and moving parts. But nonetheless, the short of it is, this is just to clarify, to get this listed, what roles and responsibilities NHA is serving as the city of Lakeport as supervisor. So, short summary. Answer questions.
Any questions of Dan?
Straightforward.
Okay. Any members of the public that would like to comment on this professional services agreement? Seeing none, I'll bring it back to council for either more discussion or a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve and authorize the city manager to execute the second amendment to the professional services agreement with NHA Advisors for independent registered municipal financial advisory.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? We're good. You're like batting 1,000. Martin, when you were talking to the auditors, did you do the auditor walks into the bar with a duck in his head? You didn't try that, right?
No.
Oh, okay. If anyone wants to know the answer to that later, I'll tell you after the meeting. Next up, we have item number B, which is still under council business, and this is going to be Kevin, the Community Development Director, and it's going to be approve or look at approving professional services agreement between City of Lakeport and I knew I was going to butcher that. Graboglia? Architecture Incorporated for the development, I wasn't even close. Development of design and construction documents for ADA accessibility upgrades to the Carnegie Library building, and authorize the city manager to sign the agreement. And Kevin, over to you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. I'm excited to bring this proposal forward. This isn't for construction, but this is for the architectural design of our ADA accessibility improvements. As you know, currently we cannot open Carnegie Library up to the public because of some of our accessibility issues there, mainly lack of the ability to get to that second floor. So what we're looking at is putting in a lift, and then also improving the bathrooms to ADA capability, or compatibility rather, and then that also would include some other access improvements on the ramp to, I guess, the south side of the building as well. So this professional service agreement would be with an architect to design those features for us. We solicited an RFQ in May. We received 2 proposals, put together a selection committee composed of myself, Tom Carlton, our building official, Paul Coren, our city engineer, and then also a local contractor, Tom Gaynor, who helped us read through those proposals, and we selected this Garibaldi architecture firm as being the most qualified. They also did assist in putting together the feasibility study there. They have a long record of similar projects on historical structures, so I think they're the right ones for this. If there's any additional questions, I'll be happy to take them.
Any questions? I had one quick question, which was, I might have had it marked on my electronic copy, but I've got my big paper copy here now that I printed. What was the amount of the CDBG grant?
$140,000, and that's for...
Oh, that was 140, okay.
That's in construction and
Okay. Other than that, are there any members of the public that would like to comment on the bid award? Aha. Or proposed bid award.
Will DeShock, Mr. Mayor and Council. It is my pleasure to encourage you to approve this proposal from Garibaldi Architecture. We worked with Mike Garibaldi and his team on the feasibility use study, and I found them to be very competent and thorough and very knowledgeable about historic structures. So I think they will do a good job for us and get a good design that will work for our needs for the Carnegie Library. Just remind you of the pronunciation.
Did I get that right, Mark?
I know. It's like saying Milwaukee instead of Milwaukee. All right. Thank you all. That's a nice review and a glowing review that brings a little comfort. So good. Any other members of the public? Tom, you're scratching in the back there in the dark? No? Okay. I'll bring that back to council for any discussion or a motion.
Mr. Mayor, if there's no further discussion, I'd move to approve the professional services agreement between the City of Lakeport and Garibaldi Architecture Incorporated for the development of design and construction documents for ADA accessibility upgrades to the Carnegie Library Building, and authorize the city manager to sign the agreement.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? I think we're up and running.
It's interesting, when Mr. Carnegie was alive, I wonder how many people said Carnegie and got off his Christmas list pretty quickly. Probably lost some pretty good Christmas bonuses.
Yeah. Thank you, Kevin. Thank you, Linda. All right. That wraps up city council business. We'll move on to communications. I'm going to go backwards here. We'll start with Kevin.
I want to invite everybody tomorrow evening. We have a public open house for our lakefront planning grant. It'll be our first public meeting there. We've met with stakeholders in the past, but this one is one that's open directly to the public to try and take their input on what their vision is for the lakefront planning area. Our consultants will be here to help assist in running that. They were also here for the concert in the park, not this past Friday, but the Friday before. Did some really good outreach there, got a lot of questionnaires out and get a lot of input. So that together with some of the economic background documentation together to give us a good starting point. So please, any members of the public especially interested in that waterfront area, we'd love to have you.
What time is that at?
5:30 tomorrow right here at the council chambers.
Okay. I know we're having the West Side Park meeting at the same time.
Bring them on over. Bring them on over after.
Yeah, maybe we should. All right. LT?
Yeah, I'd like to just kind of give a little recap of last night's event, 4th of July celebration. We were surprisingly very busy considering that it was on a Monday this year. And I probably safe in saying we had a lot more issues this year than we did last year. So I just wanted to give a little recap. In the parkland itself for the event, we had 4 missing children that were recovered very quickly. 1 adult missing was also recovered very quickly. We did have a stabbing incident that occurred last night. We were able to make an arrest on that in the parklands for the resident subject for assault with a deadly weapon. And we also had a verbal altercation in the parklands. So I went and I looked at just to see what our call volume was because I knew we were really, really busy with calls. Yesterday we handled 47 calls for service, which is really high for the day. We did have 6 fireworks calls that we were actually dispatched to, but there was more, closer to about 30, that they just created an incident because we were so busy, couldn't get to every single call. We had about 30 of those that were just incident created. And then some of our concerns that we had, quite a few illegal fireworks in the city that we were not expecting. I think it's the largest amount that I've probably dealt with in the years that I've been dealing with this. Not sure why, but we did have substantial calls for that. And there was upwards of 200 people probably in the Safeway parking lot that were somewhat concerning for us to have to try to deal with. A lot of the illegal fireworks were in that area. And so when we tried to remedy the problem, just wasn't getting taken care of. So ultimately we had about 5 units show up there, get on our PA systems with their lights to clear out the crowd after 11 o'clock. And they did go out, it wasn't a problem, but there was just a lot going on there. So we were really, really busy, and we had a lot of other numerous illegal fireworks calls throughout the city. So we stayed very busy, so I just wanted to give you guys a recap of last night.
I think it was probably the largest volume of comments that I received from residents from past years. This year they said there was more kabooms going off that obviously were not coming off, professionally over there, and they said there was some huge, obviously illegal fireworks going off all over town. I heard it from multiple areas, and you could hear them sometimes, so.
Yeah, we really struggled trying to track them all down. Quite honestly, there's so much going on at one time. And when the park clears out, it is virtually impossible to get from one to the town to the other. Even doing everything you can with your life to try to maneuver, it's a very, very difficult process. So we were really struggling to try to get a handle on it.
Everyone made it through the night safe, though.
Absolutely, everyone made it.
Like, well, except for the one that didn't make it.
Yeah.
But that was obviously kind of scary, but that didn't turn out to be as serious as it could have been, injury-wise, so.
Yeah, it's pretty serious for us. We're still investigating it. We'll continue to investigate it until we get closure of that case.
Thank you. Tom, do you have anything? I see you back there still. You sure? All right. Dan?
I just wanted to say this is my final council meeting officially, but I wanted to thank Margaret and the council and the community for the absolute pleasure of serving you and for the opportunity. It was tremendous, and I'm very appreciative of it. So I look forward to participating further as a citizen of Lakeport, and I won't be a stranger for sure, but I'll be excited to start my new professional career with Kyle, but I'll always consider Lakeport my home, and look forward to continuing my relationship as a citizen first. Thank you.
Well, we've been tremendously blessed to have you in your position, and it's one of those things where everybody jokes about glazing over when we talk about finances and everything else, and the size of some of the items and packets and stuff. But it's an area that you have to have someone of your caliber to control and navigate these things, and know when to ask for help and when to handle them yourselves. And I think you've done a wonderful job. I hate to see you go, but it's probably good for you and your family, and it'll be good for your future. We'll look forward to having you here in Lakeport.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Dan, how long did you have that job?
Which job?
With your current job?
Oh, this
How
job.
long were you?
Where am I? I've been with the city just over 8 years, and I've been in this role for almost 6.
That's what I was thinking. I remember you were just like this kid with a little experience that we thought would give you a chance, and then you far exceeded anyone's expectations. So now with a tear in my eye that you leave.
It's very bittersweet for me too. I'm excited, but very sad to be moving on. I really appreciate it, enjoy my time here, and really, this is a great organization to work for. I look forward to telling the story, in a different way to the community, because you read stuff and you're like, that's just not the way it is here,
Yeah.
You know how it is, and I'm hoping that I can do something to help put that story out there.
Perfect.
Continue that.
Thank you, Dan. Jenny? Come on.
I don't know,
You didn't think I was going to bypass you, did you? I just want to make sure. David?
Nothing to report, thanks.
Okay. Margaret?
No, I just wanted to thank Dan too. I mean, but shortly after I got here, when finance director left, and Dan says, I could do that job. And it's like, okay, code compliance officer, but okay, And so started working with him, gave him a chance, had an intro for him, and it was, just a couple of months probably, he was done with the mentoring, was moving on, and so he's just been amazing what he's done, the growth he's done in those 6 years. We were very fortunate. I knew that, he was going to go on to bigger things with his talent, so we've been very fortunate to have Dan, and the things he's set in place for us now, as we get a new funds director to take his place, it will be, it's great that he's left all that set up for us. And so he's going to be greatly missed, and not only as an employee, but as a partner and a friend, and our team. We have a great management team, and Dan's been a key player in our management team, so it's going to be a big difference. So, and on Ryder's side, we did have a recruitment that Kelly got out right away, and we have some interviews, some pretty nice candidates, so we'll see. We have some interviews Friday, and we'll see what happens from there. So anyway, we're looking forward to that.
Thank you, Dan. Jenny? Come on.
Yeah, I just wanted to thank Dan too. I mean, the shortly after I got here, when finance director left, and Dan says,
you, Margaret. Councilwoman Turner?
I have nothing to report, but I also wanted to say thank you to Dan. I know that your financial acumen and your leadership ability is all very well known. I think one of your characteristics that I value most highly is your desire to outreach to the public, to reinforce and promote transparency, but not to do so in a way that people don't understand anyway, but to actually translate it into English so that I can understand it better and that I'm able to better explain it to the public. I've really appreciated how you've done that, but in such a passionate way and an enthusiastic way, integrating new technologies, new ways of engaging the public. So thank you very much for that.
Pro Tem?
I wanted to say the fireworks were amazing as usual, and I think people I think all of us locals love them, but I think it's bringing in people year after year that want to come to the Lakeport fireworks show. And my kids had a long debate, and they decided their second favorite holiday is the 4th of July, and I think it's because it's the fireworks, so that was great. And then I also wanted to mention on the Main Street project, I went into Angelina's late afternoon, the day after their sidewalks were gone. And Brian, the owner, he was really happy. He said that they had a normal day, if not busier. He thought people maybe wanted to try out the ramps going in. And that, and on top of it all, there was someone from the city there to greet him first thing in the morning to make sure everything was okay and that they were fine. So he was very city and very excited to see the end result. Good.
Very cool. All right. Martin?
Well, I'll just say ditto to staff and council for Dan. That's all been said, other than you're a USC fan. You just have to let that slide. You will be required to help us with the Halloween coloring contest. However, you're not getting off the hook that easy. It's such a big part of that. We're going to have an intern for that as well. So you can't skate on that one. I'd like to thank the lieutenant and Lakeport PD and all the mutual aid that were here for the law enforcement briefing, and all the entities here in Lake County represented, including Clear Lake PD, probation here, Sheriff's Department, Marine Patrol, and they did a great job. And it's got to be a tough job. I think literally when the officers walked out, the Clear Lake PD officers picked up a kid right away, right from the briefing ended, a missing kid, and then literally not 60 seconds later, there was a gentleman running towards City Hall, and I assume that was Dad. I don't know how quick, but it looked like it. So that kid probably could have been lost for more than probably 3 minutes. And so it's nice to see that happen. And I wish Doug was here, because the parks guys, it's amazing to think what transpired in that parklands in the parking lot last night. And it just looks like a normal day of beautiful park out there today. So everybody did a great job, and appreciate all the hard work on that. And a reminder to Pro Tem that we're canceled next week for ABC. And that's it.
That's a long 3 minutes for parents.
Like that. Like that.
It's a long 3 minutes for parents. Kenny?
So in the continuing saga of the Ken Saderman thing that the city council and staff has shoveled onto my plate over the last couple of years, I think this is coming to a close. Tom Smythe from the county graciously came down, and Margaret got us a conference room, and I was very happy to see that Kevin was there, and we went over the maps, and Tom was explaining the cumbersome process of the revisions and so forth that are needed to be done by FEMA, but we did find out that due to the fire that there was some immense number of mappings that were done that are going to aid future different spots, and I guess Tom had a hit list, and he was to meet with FEMA the following day. He had a number of different spots, and in addition, Tom Carlton was scheduled to go down and meet with FEMA as well. So despite all of the troublesome, numerous scores of phone calls and hours and personal visits with the man, I think Kevin and Tom Smythe and Tom Carlton were all able to let him know that this was going to be a very long, arduous process. It was probably going to take between 5 and 7 years at best, and so maybe my phone will not be ringing off the hook, and everyone else and all the things that you've done and all the improprieties are irrelevant now. I think I've taken care of this finally, and I want to thank Kevin especially for coming in and showing the immense amount of concern and detail in the conversation that made Ken feel like we at the city actually did care. And I wanted to, give him a shout out. That really helped a lot to make him feel like. And then he started getting what if scenarios the next day. If we just started sooner. And I said that's not anything we have any control over. So I want to thank Tom Carlton and Kevin for being there, and everyone else for shoveling this guy onto my plate. But I think it's finally taken care of. The other thing that I wanted to comment on, I don't know who's responsible, but I love the fireworks sign that said, please enjoy your fireworks in the city of Lakeport rather than, no fireworks outside of Lakeport. That was a nice marketing comment, and it was well done. And I like that, and I noticed it right away. That was good. So, and Dan, I've already said everything I can say in private, and then you did this to me anyway, so good luck to you.
Kelly, you didn't think I was going to forget you, did you?
No, I have no report.
Okay. I did speak to, I want to thank Martin Schill for his quick response to Lakeport disposal when the element jack came in and was concerned about the flyer that went out for Lakeport disposal. I had a conversation with Lance about it, and we had a long conversation that I'm not calling you up to bust your chops, just want to ask you a few questions. And we went through everything, and it was pretty much as I thought it was. And so I sent a response to Dale, and then he followed up with a phone call, but left a message letting him know that I emailed him. And so I haven't heard anything back, so hopefully that, I just told him if he still wanted to meet with Lakeport Disposal, that we would set that up. It didn't sound like, when he was here that he was real gung-ho on that. Just wanted to get some sort of a response. So I'll follow up with him next week, make sure that that's, settled and he's satisfied. Other than that, I just wanted to mention law enforcement, city staff, the volunteers, the 4th of July, and, people that live here, people that are visiting, making the event, the 4th of July. I know I was down working at the Main Street booth for a little bit yesterday afternoon, and Hillary and Andrew Britton came down to relieve me at the correct time, and I was glad to see them and see them volunteering, and I just wanted to give them a little boot too. So, but it was a wonderful event, and I think it was a little bit lighter, maybe number-wise, than it has been before, but still it's spectacular. It's a great event, and just wanted to say that. Other than that, we will call the meeting.